What is going on, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Inside the Horseshoe. I'm your host, Matt Beard, today, and we're going to be talking about some players opting out and, of course, our predictions for the division standings for this upcoming season, assuming there's going to be a season. So today, I'm joined by Kevin Poss. How you doing, Kevin? Oh, I removed you. Now, here we go. I clicked the wrong one.
Hi, everyone. I am your resident ATLian. Just chilling out in the COVID bunker that I am in. I'm doing well, and I'm really happy to be back talking some sports. Just had a good time watching the Braves, and I'm just happy to be back. Happy to be on the show.
Awesome. And then we have everybody's 67th favorite dad. Sometimes goes up, sometimes it goes down, depending on the week. Jacob West. How you doing, Jacob?
I'm doing good. Yeah, that number fluctuates just like the economy sometimes. No, I am doing good. I am excited to be on. I'm a big NFL fan, big just all in general sports fan. I'm repping the Eagles. Got both the shirt and hat on, and I'll also switch it up maybe and put on the TCU Horned Frogs, repping that first-round draft pick Jalen Reagor. And yes, I've been a Horned Frog fan for a while, not just since the draft, if anyone's asking.
All right. So I think that's going to pay off for them. Not sure about Jalen Hurts. Maybe you can get like a 5th-round pick later for him at some point, but we'll see. I guess it depends on Carson Wentz too. But next, last and certainly not least, we have Alec Miller. Alec, how are you doing? How are those Houston Asterisks doing?
Yeah, it's gonna happen every time. I'm good, man. Repping the Texans and all Houston teams. Not proudly, I would say. I don't have any Texans gear on, but I wear this tattoo on my arm, unfortunately. So I'm excited to talk some football, though, man. I love my favorite sport by far, so I'm really excited to get talking about it. And you can hear my dog in the background.
Absolutely. I know we're going to probably have a disagreement with one of these divisions and how everything finishes out. But before we get into that, I do want to discuss some of the players that have opted out this past season. The deadline was August 6th at 4 p.m., so we're recording this on the 5th. So if anybody opts out that we don't talk about, that's why. So I think Jacob has the list if we just want to go over just some of the notable players, because a lot of the guys that opted out aren't really going to see the field too much. I know the guys that opted out for the Colts are weren't going to see the field much anyway, so you might as well do it now. But let's go over some of the notables real quick, and then we'll get into the divisions.
Well, that means I have to read the list and figure out is this person notable or not. It's definitely interesting reading this list. There are some big names. Again, like Matt was saying, some lesser known names, some names that I know that name. So kind of the bigger ones, and I'm just going off of alphabetical order of teams. So the 49ers, wide receiver Travis Benjamin. The Bills, defensive lineman Star Lotulelei. And a lot of offensive linemen and defensive linemen. The Browns have 3 offensive linemen. Drake Dorbick, Drew Forbes, Colby Gossett. Chiefs, we definitely know about Laurent Duvernay, the first one to do it, which I really liked what he did. He's continuing to fight on the front line. The Colts, Matt's favorite team. You have your safety, Roland Milligan, linebacker Sky Moore, and then safety Marvell Tell. So a huge loss in that defense.
I know, right?
Say huge loss, but
nah, not really. No, they might have got on the field like once or twice a game,
maybe, yeah.
If that.
The Dolphins losing 2 wide receivers, Allen Hurns and Albert Wilson II. So Devontae Parker might be getting all the targets now. We will see. The Eagles, I have to go with my team. The wide receiver that we picked up in the offseason, Marquise Goodwin. I was really upset to see his name opting out, but that's the only one so far. Falcons, Kevin's team, no one yet.
Hey, we stick together, baby. Falcons rise up.
Yeah.
We'll see.
We'll see. The Jets, a huge one, linebacker C.J. Mosley, the second best defender on that team, or I'd say now the best defender on that team. So they definitely had a huge loss there. Packers wide receiver Devin Funchess. The Patriots had 8 people opting out. Biggest ones, Dante Hightower, Patrick Chung, and then Marquise Lee, another wide receiver. So they lost about half of their team.
Let's be honest. They half of them checked out when Brady left.
Yes. As soon as they heard, hey, we can get some money by staying away from Belichick, they hopped on that train.
I mean, I would.
Yes. Alec, I did not forget the Texans. Do not worry. Defensive lineman Eddie Vanderdos.
Yeah,
I haven't heard of that name before.
He's the rookie, I want to say, that we got. So, yeah.
Okay.
I don't know what to expect from him, honestly. Yeah. So hasn't been any big name players, so I'm okay right now.
Right. Yeah. So definitely a lot of linemen, which is expected when you are literally hugging people and that is your job.
True.
Not the best thing to do with social distancing.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think the biggest takeaway is the amount of players that opted out on the Patriots. I think they were already going to have a hard time. That roster isn't great as it is. Right. And then now you're losing all those players. I mean, Belichick's probably smiling because now he's like, I can really prove to them that I can do it without Brady.
Right.
Yeah. But you kind of feel bad for Cam, man. Like he already doesn't have anybody to throw to, and now losing all these defensive players, the one shining spot of the Patriots, it's not looking good for them right now.
Yeah.
True. I mean, with the Patriots, now I'm curious to see how this affects their defense because obviously Hightower and Chung, those are pretty big guys on their team. Those are, Chung's a leader on the team and whatnot. So that could hurt the defense because last year, I think we can all agree, Patriots offense was not really good, it was Tom Brady throwing to a couple of guys that he picked up from the stands and just said, hey, you're going to play on the Patriots this season. And that was about it. And now you got some guys from the defense leaving, and that was the thing where everybody's like, that defense is really good. There was a point in time where everybody was saying that was the best defense in the NFL until week 8 happened. And after that kind of went away, and 49ers, everybody agreed was the best defense besides people in New England. So now with them gone, I thought Cam would have gotten the Patriots like 2, maybe 3 more wins instead of them. But I honestly think this is going to hurt, and this might actually give them a loss unless Belichick has some mastermind plan, which is probably the case. He probably told them to opt out. He'll give them a little money on the side, and then he'll sign like Clowney or somebody.
Well, I mean, we've seen Belichick sign Walmart employees to be their top receivers. So I have no doubt that, he definitely has a deal with the devil or something. There are going to be some random signings that we're going to be like, okay, they're filling up the roster, whatever. Boom, defensive player of the year.
Right. And that always happens. They'll take a defensive guy from any team and they just make them so much better. And I don't know, that he's clearly a better defensive coach than an offensive coach, I think. I don't know, maybe, he was a great offensive coach too. We'll see what Brady does in Tampa Bay with all those receivers. If he sucks, then maybe we have to say, well, Belichick made him. And without Belichick, he's really not much, but he is 43.
Well, I think you'll be checking out the passes to the tight ends and the people who run the slant routes. Yeah. That'll be his bread and butter.
Definitely. So Cam is at least Cam can run. So Belichick has that because that offensive line's trash, and they really didn't do a whole lot to make it better. But no, I knew Phillip Rivers wasn't going to opt out because he's not going to be touched very often this year. Assuming the offensive line continues what they've been doing the past couple of years. I don't know, maybe Quentin Nelson says, you know what, I'm going to opt out this year. If that happens, that offensive line, that's going to hurt. But, now, is there any players, speaking of that, is there any players that would really surprise you if they opt out, or that you think could really affect the team they're on? Besides, like, obviously Patrick Mahomes and Lamar Jackson, because obviously that would affect them really bad.
I'm trying to think of any that aren't quarterbacks, because obviously a quarterback greatly impacts it. But
right.
I would honestly think, and it's a brand new, he's brand new to the team, but I would look at D-Hop over there in Arizona. If he automatically opted out, like he's the reason they didn't draft a receiver in the draft, which they really needed. But Hopkins makes up for that. But if he opted out, then you're left with basically the exact same team. Yeah. On the offensive side, at least.
Right.
Than as last year. So I think that would be a big one off the top of my head.
Yeah, because there's really not a whole lot of receivers available in the free agency. I mean, I guess you could try to get Antonio Brown, try to convince him to come back, and then after week 8, that is true.
In the NFC West too, like that's not that's a division you do not want to fall behind.
True, especially with the 49ers and Seahawks. And you guess you never know with the Rams. Maybe something happens to them.
Hell, Arizona could be a 500 or better team this year.
Oh, yeah. Defense improved a lot. Obviously D-Hop's going to help. So, yeah, that could be a sleeper team. I mean, just with the Colts, I think if DeForest Buckner says, I'm out, that could hurt that defense because, like, just signing him, a lot of people were like, oh, my God, that defense could be, like, scary. Darius Leonard is another guy. Like I said, Quentin Nelson, and then maybe on Carolina, McCaffrey. That'd be a big one. That could really hurt them. But I don't know. I don't know if there's anybody else. Maybe Aaron Donald is one. I mean, the team isn't really.
I would say that's one.
But I mean, the team really isn't a team where we're like, oh, this team's gonna contend for a Super Bowl, like we thought last year. So, and plus losing, what's his face is going to hurt. Yeah, Gurley. And then, that's really
Atlanta. So, first player since Dion to wear number 21.
Yep. Oh, Derrick Henry. Speaking of running backs, that'd be another one. But I don't know.
I would love it for your team. I would love it if Darius Leonard opted out. That'd be nice.
No, I would hate that. I hate that. I mean, I love our linebackers, but Darius Leonard hopping out, you would have to really hope, Walker could step up and dominate and do whatever. Bandagoo, you got to hope your linebackers who might not field quite as much can really step up. But yeah, Darius Leonard, I mean, especially with Buckner, he's going to have more opportunities, I think. So that would definitely hurt. And I hope that doesn't happen. But, oh well. But, no, since that's all I can think of as far as players, that would make big impacts for opting out. Julio Jones would be a big one for you guys, Kevin.
That'd be a killer, man.
That would might like
people already are like, triple teaming him at this point. And last year we didn't really prove that we could do much about it. So if he opted out, I don't even know what we would do.
Yeah, that would, because he traded Sanu as well last year to the Patriots. Yeah. So, I mean, he really didn't do a whole lot in New England, but still, that would.
He was. I feel like that guy had some serious untapped potential, but he was always in Julio's shadow. So.
Yeah, and losing Austin Hooper too, that was a big, a big blow.
Yeah, so I don't know. Well, that'd be very curious. They have to sign somebody at that point, and I mean, there's really nobody else you can sign. I guess Des Bryant. If he's even wanting to come back, but that's all. So now let's get into the division. Every division. Let's run through real quick.
Real quick, I just want to mention one more player that opted out that I've actually got my eyes on is with Damian Williams opting out. I'm interested to see Clyde Edwards-Helaire jump into the starting lineup. Obviously, I have him on my dynasty, so I'm hoping he does great. But he's an unproven commodity, and Damian Williams I think was pretty clutch in that, especially in that Super Bowl. He was extremely clutch. So seeing with him being out and Edwards-Helaire having to jump in, I'm really interested to see what happens there.
Yeah, I would be curious about that too. I mean, I'm surprised they didn't take any other running back, or at least some of the top running back in the league.
Yeah, Jonathan Stewart was my top one. Jonathan Taylor. Sorry.
Yeah. So they could take Jonathan Taylor. So we'll get into the divisions real quick. And so I'll just pull it up on my end real quick, the divisions, and I'll kind of list the teams, and then we'll kind of predict 1 through 4 where we think they'll land. So let's start off in the AFC East first. So now with Tom Brady gone, we have kind of a wide open, it's basically a big race. It's not only with Buffalo, but Miami, I thought, did a really good job with the defense. So, they're definitely in the race. The Jets don't matter. So, I mean, there's really no point with the Jets to even put them in the top, 2, let alone top 3. But we have the Bills, the Patriots, the Dolphins, and then the Jets, I guess. So I'm going to start with Kevin. Between those 4 teams, who do you think is going to – where do you think they'll finish at the end of the year?
I have Buffalo winning this division. It seems like with all the guys that have opted out, they're either big name players. I have the Pats finishing second. I feel like even without Brady, and the 8 players that they've lost, they can still, crank out another halfway decent season. I have the Jets finishing third, mainly just because Miami lost their 2 big wide receivers. So Buffalo, New England, New York, and Miami.
Okay. And then we'll go to Alec next. How do you think the AFC East is going to kind of finish at?
So I have Buffalo number 1. Yeah, I had him number 1 before Cam signed, or even after Cam signed. I still have the Buffalo Bills number 1 with the addition of Stephon Diggs, and then number 2, I'm gonna go with the Patriots, even with all the losses. But I'm kind of flip flopping between them and possibly the Dolphins, depending on when Tua comes in, if he starts early or starts later, or even doesn't start at all. And then obviously I'm gonna have the New York Jets at 4. There's nothing there. I don't like Sam Darnold. Bell's lost a step. I just don't see anything from them.
I mean, did you guys see Colin Cowherd said that he would pick Sam Darnold over Dak Prescott?
That's
ridiculous. Look, okay, I get it. I don't like Dak. He's on the Cowboys. I don't like the Cowboys. But you're going to take Sam Darnold over Dak?
Hater, yeah.
Come on now. It's
he's also the guy who loves Baker, doesn't he?
He totally loves Baker.
He
totally didn't get into fights with Baker or got heated with Baker. But now we'll go to Jacob real quick. What are you thinking for the AFC East?
I think we all have very similar lists. Because I also see Buffalo winning this being the first time in 12 years that the Patriots have not won the division. Josh Allen has improved so much in the last 2 years. He's always had a great arm. He's really stepped up his accuracy though, which is really good to see, especially being in Wyoming. Watching him in college get destroyed by Oregon, still somehow getting drafted 8th overall, 10th overall. But then, definitely picking up Stephon Diggs. A stat I really loved with Josh Allen, he didn't have a receiver over 6 feet tall last year. It's all his receivers were 5'10", 5'8".
Yeah. And
he still, got second place in the division, almost won the division. Picking up Stephon Diggs was huge for them. They always had a good defense. They didn't lose anybody. So I definitely see them winning the division. And then I'm kind of also back and forth between New England and Miami. I do think New England will get second place in the division, and then Miami getting second. or getting third. Biggest reason why is this is going to be the year where if you have a lot of new people on your team, there's not going to be a lot of chemistry going on, just because you haven't had the time in camp with each other and you haven't been able to be around them. So I definitely see Miami being great in the next couple of years. This year they'll be good, but I'd say probably either at 500, at 7-9 to 9-7 is what I see them as their record. And then the Jets maybe getting 4-5 wins out. Definitely after seeing CJ Mosley opting out, they definitely fell quite a bit. I think that was a big loss.
Yeah, definitely.
And with Miami, got taken into account Brian Flores, how good of a coach he is, and that man is a beast. Like that team was supposed to tank last year, and he was able to. I think he created a winning culture there. He created a no lose culture in Miami, and they haven't had that for a long time. So,
but then you also have Fitzmagic, and the man is either the worst quarterback alive or the greatest quarterback alive in the matter of minutes.
Yeah, but you're talking about like when Tua could come in. That I didn't even have that in my mind when I had made those predictions. So yeah, that could make a big difference.
And with the Bills, they're one escaped sack from winning that playoff game against the Texans last year. Like miracle. So I'm definitely not counting them out this year.
Oh yeah, I mean, what does Pat McAfee say about Fitzpatrick? He says he has the mind of a Harvard grad, but he has the heart of a plumber or whatever. It's like it doesn't matter; he'll never tank because he'll always get you 5 or 6 wins.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how bad the team is. But like, it's crazy, like what everybody thinks of Miami from the beginning of last year to like today, even because like when Miami started out 0-2, people were like requesting to leave. They didn't want to be there anymore because they got slaughtered. And now after the offseason, everybody's thinking Miami might be, a dark horse. And, you got to give credit to Brian Flores. I think halfway through the year, he really started to kind of get into the groove of what it's like to be a head coach. And Miami might not suck anymore. So that's going to be something. Unlike Cleveland, who will always suck no matter what. So it does not matter who you at.
Talented rosters, and you can't do anything with it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah. It's like it's always egos are battling every game on the field. It's lovely. I love it. But I'm gonna agree with you guys. I got Buffalo at number 1. I think especially with New England losing 8 guys and people like Hightower and Chung, I think that's really going to hurt New England, and that's going to help the Buffalo Bills. I really hope Josh Allen doesn't make stupid decisions this year, like running in that Houston playoff game, running with the ball and then kind of like throwing it in the air, like he was going to toss it to somebody and they just weren't there or whatever, almost losing the game just because of that before they actually lost because of that sack. So hopefully he improved things like that. And that could just be, like it's a second year. They made the playoffs, like you're driving down the field to either tie or win the game. I can't remember what it was at that point, but you're driving to essentially win. And, his nerves got the better of him, I think, in there. So we'll see if he improves that. Diggs is going to help a lot. And that defense, it's top 3, I would say, in the NFL, maybe even top 2 now with New England losing a couple of key pieces on that defense. I still think 49ers are going to have the best defense in the league, but Buffalo might give them a run for their money. And, I also love Josh Allen. Accuracy is improving, like you said, Jacob. Always had that big arm, so I'm very curious to see if he can step into that top 5, quarterbacks in the league next year, which is possible, which I would never have imagined that happening going into his first year, but that definitely can happen. And then at number 2, I'm actually going to go Miami. I know they lost 2 receivers that are going to be big for them, but they do still have, obviously, Devontae Parker, and they have Grant, and I think he's not great, but I think he can contribute enough to where it's not going to hurt them too much. Although, obviously you have Fitzmagic losing a couple of key pieces, and I think they're going to transition into Tua starting towards the end of the year. I don't think they make the playoffs after losing those two receivers, but the defense alone right there, I think, was upgraded enough to where they could get into that number 2 spot, maybe finish 8-8, and then next year they can take that next step to being a wild card or even fight with Buffalo for the number 1 spot in their division. And then I got the Patriots at 3. Yeah, I know they added Cam Newton. That's definitely an upgrade over Stidham. I don't think anybody's going to argue about that, but Belichick seems to love Stidham, so I guess you never know. He might start Stidham just to prove a point that he can win without Brady. And then number 4, I got the Jets, but I mean, Jets are fighting to not be last in the NFL. Or they might fight to be last in the NFL and get rid of Sam Darnold so they can get Trevor Lawrence or the kid from Ohio State. Can't blank on his name for some reason.
Wow.
Is it Josh Dobbs?
Fields.
No, Field.
Yeah, Field. Justin Field. So
Justin Fields, there you go.
Yeah.
They might fight for last against another team we'll talk about in a little bit. But now let's hop into the AFC West. This is a very interesting division, I think. And I think it's going to be closer this year than a lot of people expect. We have the Raiders, Denver Broncos, the Chargers, and the Chiefs, who just came off the Super Bowl. So obviously the Chiefs pretty much gave their entire salary cap to Patrick Mahomes for the next 10 years. After giving him that $500 million contract, or it could get up to $500 million, but it's over $400, which is insane that somebody can make that much money. But good for him. So I'm gonna hop to Alec this time. How do you think that division's gonna shape up? I think Denver added some key pieces. Chargers might be better on defense this year with Bosa being healthier. So how do you think it's gonna pan out?
All right, the Raiders are good. No, I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's the Chiefs. The Chiefs are number 1, clear number 1 in the NFL at the moment. So, obviously, the Chiefs. Number 2 is a little bit different story. I think I'm gonna go. This one's a little tougher. I hate to say it, but I might say the Raiders at number 2. I think they've greatly improved. I was surprised how much they improved. I was expecting this John Gruden 10-year contract to be a dud. And especially with all the trades that he was making in the beginning, but they seem to have paid off. We'll see if the players that he drafted with those picks, play out the way he wants them to. But I'm going to go with the Raiders and then the Broncos right after that. I think they made a great improvement. Drew Lock seems to be a legit starter at the moment. And they also got Jerry Jeudy. They were able to draft Jerry Jeudy, and that defense is always, it's always like middling, but Von Miller is still Von Miller. And then, obviously, I just don't believe in Herbert. I don't think that he's the clear number 1 quarterback, not just in that division, but not even in California. I just don't believe in him at all.
Okay. And then we're going to hop over to Jacob. Where do you think how do you think that division's going to pan out?
So this is actually going to be my pick for the most surprising league. It's really hard to say that Kansas City will not win the division because they have been one of the best offenses in football past couple years. And so I definitely see them winning, but I can definitely see the 2 wild cards coming out of this division. Some people are saying, wow, Papa West, you are crazy. But the Broncos, Drew Lock was phenomenal his last couple weeks, and they didn't really have a team. They picked up Jerry Jeudy. They picked up a couple other wide receivers. Who was it?
Looking it up right now.
Yeah. KJ Hamler from Penn State. He was on my fantasy team. That's how I know him. They picked up Melvin Gordon. And then they had a really good defense too. Von Miller immediately comes up with that. So I call me crazy all you want. I definitely see the Broncos getting second. And then the Raiders and Chargers, I could see either of them going third. I'd probably go with the Chargers just because they do have one of the best defensive lines. We talked about Joey Bosa, almost the highest paid player in the NFL. But then the Raiders also had a good draft. They I believe they got Henry Ruggs, the other receiver. Yeah, they got Henry Ruggs. And call me crazy, Derek Carr is not a horrible quarterback.
No.
Like
he was an MVP candidate at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think they will get last place in the division, but I could see every single team in this division going 9-7 or better, and then having 2 wild cards. Watch all the 3 that don't win are going to suck, and I just jinxed all of them. But we'll see.
Right. All right. And then we're going to go to Kevin real quick, and then I'll give my picks at the end.
Sure. I'll keep mine pretty quick because Alec, he and I had the exact same lineup. Kansas City's the obvious choice. I think Las Vegas, the Raiders, they're gonna. I think they're better than Jacob's giving them credit for. Denver, I think
said 9-7.
Oh, yeah,
that's a lot of credit.
that would be nice. Denver, I just don't think they're fully there, but they are definitely better, I feel like, than San Diego. So I had Kansas City, the Raiders, Denver, and San Diego.
And what a season for the Raiders to make the move to Las Vegas. Like, you don't have to worry about people not showing up.
True.
Yeah.
Kevin,
I need to really invigorate a team, I feel like.
Kevin, I need to correct you there. The Los Angeles Chargers, not the San Diego Chargers.
I do that all the time.
Oh, thank you. I know, jeez.
It's
so
got
the same blame color.
I'm going to be one of those old heads that the Baltimore
Back in my day, there were no teams in Los
They were the St. Louis Rams.
The Houston Oilers. We hear that over here in Houston all the time. We should have seen the Houston Oilers back in the day.
One thing that's crazy, at least for me, because I do that all the time, calling them the San Diego Chargers. As soon as the Rams moved to LA, I didn't have an issue calling them the LA Rams.
No, because that is when we were young.
What they were originally.
That's what they were. Yeah. If that feels a hell of a lot more right to me than St. Louis Rams.
Right.
I still feel weird saying the Las Vegas Raiders. That's still
it is. It's weird. When I wrote it down, I was like, man, that's gonna look weird when they put that on a scoreboard.
That's gonna be really weird. Now this is a division. I agree. This could really be the most shocking division as far as where everybody finishes. I think the team who has the most advantage in this division is the Chargers, because the Chargers didn't play in front of any of their fans to begin with. So this doesn't really affect them. But I'm going to agree with all 3 of you. I got Kansas City winning the division. At number 2, I got Denver. However, I think Denver could, because of the additions they made, could really make a run and give Kansas City a run for their money and possibly be within a game of winning that division, because they did really improve. Their receiving core improved. Adding Melvin Gordon's big. Their defense is always good. And Drew Lock, the last couple games, I'm not saying it's going to be like this guy, but towards the end of his first year, starting there, was kind of like Peyton Manning. Didn't really do much, but towards the end, you saw something. I don't think Drew Lock's going to be as good as Peyton Manning. However, Peyton Manning struggled a lot his first year and then started to kind of get the hang of it the last few games. And Drew Lock is, kind of giving that vibe. I don't think he's going to come out this year, throw like 48 touchdowns or whatever. But I do think he's going to have a really good year and could surprise some people. And at 3, I think within like a game or 2 of Denver, or maybe even a tie, it's going to be the Raiders. I think the Raiders each year have improved. First year with John Gruden there, didn't look that great. Second year, got better. Defense wasn't that great. The offense had some good talent with Jacobs, at running back. Might be top 5, top 3 running back in the NFL. And then, they also had some injuries on defense. Like they drafted, I can't remember his name, but they drafted a rookie safety, I believe, and he got hurt, I think, in a preseason. So him coming in could improve that secondary a lot. And then I got the Chargers at 4, but they're not going to be like the Jets or the Jags where they went 2 games. I do think they're going to start out with Jonathan. I think they're going to start out with Tyrod Taylor and then maybe transition to Herbert towards the end of the year. But I think Tyrod Taylor is a decent quarterback. He's got a really good defense, so they might stick with him the entire year if he looks pretty good. He took Buffalo to the playoffs when he was in Buffalo. So I am very curious to see how that goes. But I think this is the NFC West of this of the AFC, because you really don't know. One of these teams could really surprise. Kansas City without Williams, I don't think it's going to affect them too much, but that could maybe hurt them a little more than what you would think. I guess it depends what that kid does that they draft in the first round. So let's get into AFC North really quick. AFC North is another one that I think could be pretty interesting. You got Baltimore, you got the Steelers, you got the Brownies, and you got the Bengals. So I'm going to start with Jacob this time. How do you see that division finishing out?
It's definitely hard to see the Ravens not having the continual success. Lamar Jackson destroyed everyone last year. He kind of turned it down in the playoffs, but he could still have another MVP-like season. Hollywood Brown, their receiver, again, that was his first year. They had Mark Ingram on there. It's definitely a fantastic offense. They didn't lose anybody. Their defense has always been great. I definitely see them winning it. Then I have Pittsburgh getting in second. This was a team that almost made the playoffs without Big Ben, literally having two rejects play quarterback for them. Another defense that was impossible to do anything against. And then I think the Bengals are going to get third. I did follow Joe Burrow a lot in college, or at least this last year. And the kid's phenomenal. He's more than likely going to get A.J. Green back because he was probably going to come back like the last couple games of the season last year and just ended up sitting out. Joe Mixon, Giovanni Bernard, both really good running backs. And he also has Taj Boyd, and there's another receiver that I'm blanking on the name.
Auden Tate?
Higgins.
Yes.
They drafted Higgins.
Tate.
I forgot about T. Higgins also. But yeah, no, Tate. They do have a good wide receiver class. And then also seeing Zachary Taylor, this being his second year coaching him, having – I love TCU, but having a good quarterback – I'm sorry, Andy Dalton. Andy Dalton's a good quarterback. But it was time for him to leave.
Yeah.
I'm definitely excited to see what they can do. And then Cleveland, again, they have like the most talent. If you simulate a year in Madden, they almost go 16-0 every time. I do not see them keeping either Landry or Beckham. One of them is going to leave just because I'm pretty sure it's going to be Beckham. The cancer that he can be in the locker room. Baker's I like Colin Cowherd and all, but I don't think Baker's the best quarterback in the world, like he says. And then Myles Garrett's gonna actually kill somebody with the helmet this time. So there's definitely a lot of destructive pieces on that team.
Yeah, I agree. Just imagine if Odell gets traded to New England. That's Belichick's big plan, getting Odell Beckham, pairing him up with Cam Newton.
I could
I
see
mean,
That'd be a
Especially
fun,
like a third and
fun
fourth round pick.
duo.
he just turns into the Yankees of the NFL.
7th round pick.
That'd be a fun duo, though, man, for watching Cam go to Odell.
To you, Alec, but if he traded him to Houston, Bill O'Brien would probably give him a box of, crackers, maybe a thing of Skittles.
Oh my God, man!
7th
Yeah,
round
we
pick.
just Bill O'Brien just called up the coach over there at Arizona and said, "What do you got in your pocket?" I'll take it.
Couple broken ankles and then a pick.
Yes.
We'll take it.
Oh man, when we get there, I will go into very excruciating detail of how pissed off I was.
I wouldn't be too. But we're gonna hop to Kevin real quick, and then we'll go to Alec, and then I'll finish off this, and then we'll get to that. But Kevin, what
right.
do you think?
Yeah, the AFC North. I think it'll be tight, tighter than people think, and tighter than it's been in the past. But I definitely have Baltimore leading the pack. I feel like they're just too good right now. Cincinnati, though, I have at second because I think
Wow.
I feel like they made a lot of improvements. And I'm part of that's me getting, watching the behind the scenes thing on HBO. But yeah, I mean, I just feel like they're a team that could surprise somebody this year. So I've Pitt actually at third, and then Cleveland at the bottom of the barrel. I still don't believe in them.
All right. We'll go to Alec real quick. How do you think it's finishing?
Yeah, same as you guys. Baltimore #1. I think Lamar Jackson's shown that he's willing to take the steps to improve his game every year. First year he's a mainly running quarterback. He did the things to take care of it. He's not as great of a thrower, but he definitely improved that, and I only see that getting better this year. And dude, if you get him in the open field, like there's no stopping him. I was so frustrated watching the Texans and Ravens game because there was like nothing. Like either you chase him down and you're about to hit him, and then he finds somebody wide open, or he just outruns you. It's ridiculous. And John Harbaugh lets the guy do what he needs to do.
Yeah.
Second is my second team, the Pittsburgh Steelers. Love the Steelers. Love Mike Tomlin. In my opinion, he should have been Coach of the Year last year with what he did over there. That team should have been picking in the top 5 with the quarterbacks that they had, but they're able to almost get and with the new rule that's being in place this year, they would have been in the playoffs. So Pittsburgh #2, also the addition of Minka Fitzpatrick helped a lot. 3, I am gonna go Cleveland. I think Cleveland, they're not gonna blow anybody out the water, but against teams that they need to win, I think they'll win those games. It's just more along the lines of when they play the upper echelon players, upper echelon teams, they just can't seem to eke out the wins. But I think they'll get the wins that they need and stay competitive. Also, I think they're competitive when they play against their fellow division rivals. Every time they play Baltimore, every time they play Pittsburgh, they play them pretty tough. So just look at Myles Garrett. They had the game in hand, and he still hit. I always forget his name. I don't know why I forget his name.
Kyle Rudolph.
There you go. He hit him with his helmet, and they were winning. I still think they'll be good. Myles Garrett is a beast, even though he almost killed somebody on the field. He is a monster.
He's literally a beast.
Yeah.
And then Cincinnati's a year away. I just think Cincinnati, Joe Burrow needs 1 year. I think he just needs 1 year to get caught up with the offense. Zach Taylor, the reason why I do think highly of them is I think Zach Taylor just needed to find his QB, which I think a lot of first-time coaches need to do is find their guy. So give them a year and they'll be in the running. But right now, put them at the bottom. But this is one of the 2 divisions that I can see 3 teams going into the playoffs. I can see if Baltimore goes on, if Cleveland goes on a run, you can see them Cleveland possibly getting that last wild card spot. And with Mike Tomlin, I'm never going to count out the Steelers.
Oh yeah. So for me, this is going to be. I think #1, #2 are actually going to finish really close. I got Baltimore at #1 because that defense was already really good. that defense. They made some additional signings for that defense, and it's a lot better. Lamar Jackson, this is where it's going to be interesting. This is where we're going to find out, is this guy a true franchise quarterback? Because the NFL has the smartest guys coaching, besides, a couple teams like Cleveland and whatnot. Freddie Kitchens, Hugh Jackson is, he's all right, but, there's some guys that are idiots that are coaching. Bill O'Brien. But
thank you.
Yeah,
I absolutely 100% agree.
But with the NFL, the defensive coordinators, most of them are really good at their job. And after one season, and especially when you have something that we're going through right now where they can't really go out and do a bunch of stuff, they're going to watch a lot of tape, and they're going to watch Lamar Jackson and find out ways to take him down. Now, are they going to be successful? If they are, then they could finish third in that division. But if they can't, and Lamar Jackson can still do what he does, then yeah, he's a franchise quarterback and he'll be around for a long time. But this season's going to be very telling because he didn't do great in the playoffs both games. But, to be fair, Tennessee was on a hot streak at that point, and the Chargers had a really good defense. So we'll see. But I do think they're going to finish number one. I got Pittsburgh at number 2, and I think a lot of people are sleeping on Big Ben. I think something happened after this injury, and I think you're going to see a brand new Big Ben. You got AB, you got Drum. He was hurt last year. That defense is really good. Getting Fitzpatrick from Miami was big for them. So I think Pittsburgh's going to surprise a lot of people, and I think they'll probably finish 5th in the AFC. And they might even win that division. It honestly depends what Ben Roethlisberger can do. At number 3, I got Cleveland. Now with Cleveland, that's another team that can make a run to number 1 if they put egos aside and can get it figured out. Are we going to see the Cleveland team we thought we were going to see last year? Because they did make some good additions. Their offensive line has improved. Defense has improved. So is Odell going to put that ego aside of, I need to make these spectacular catches all the time and I need to get 10 to 15 catches every game, or is Odell going to be Odell again? And if that's the case, he's gone and Cleveland will be 4th maybe. And can Baker figure it out? Because his first year he almost took the Browns to the playoffs. This year, though, he was very inconsistent. There were games where he looked good, and there were games where he didn't look good. And, I mean, Cleveland did almost beat New England last year, too, when New England was on their high. So, it's really going to depend. And then I got the Bengals at number 4, and the only reason why I have them at number 4 is because the offensive line's not the greatest. Rookie quarterbacks don't normally do great. Other than last year, Joe Burrow wasn't really considered a potential top quarterback. I think he was a 5th round projected pick before last season. Didn't look great in Ohio State. Went to LSU. Didn't have a great first year. Wasn't bad. I mean, you're on LSU. You're going to probably get 8 to 10 wins. And then, of course, last year he had probably the greatest season of all time for any quarterback. So I love his swagger. I love him a lot. But I do think he's going to struggle getting used to the NFL that first year. The offensive line needs improvement, and this would be the year to finish, in the top 5 worst teams in the league, because that offensive line class for next year is going to be really good, and that's where they can get that. That's where they can get up, maybe potentially a Quentin Nelson. Maybe they improve the defense even more. So I do like Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow is going to be really good, but his first year, I do think he's going to struggle, and that's fine. Tom Brady won a Super Bowl his first, year playing, but not everybody's Tom Brady. So we'll see. And then now we go to And it's a division that I think I guess at least the top two is going to surprise some people. The AFC South, we have the Houston Texans, the Indianapolis Colts, the Tennessee Titans, and the Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm going to start with Kevin. How do you think that division is going to pan out?
I haven't done as much research on this one, kind of going with my gut, but I think Mariota's been a real, spark something in Tennessee. So I have them going
Tannehill.
first.
Yeah, Tannehill.
Yeah, Tannehill. And then I have Houston second, Indianapolis third, which those, depending on what happens, could actually flip. But I'll stick with second and third, and then Jacksonville ended up last.
Okay. Now I'm going to go to Jacob this time, and then we'll go to Alec. So Jacob, how do you think this is going to pan out?
You just really want to let Alex sit there and think about his coach being the biggest idiot in all of sports right now.
Right.
Because picking up David Johnson would have been great 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I mean, he's still an okay running back, but to give up DeAndre Hopkins
That's big
for him.
I know you're doing, Jacob. I know you're doing.
I don't know what you're thinking. Thankfully, they still have Deshaun Watson, but I definitely see Indianapolis winning this division. They had a fantastic season last season. Only missed the playoffs by 2-3 games with Jacoby Brissett, and now they have Phillip Rivers, who I think is one of the most underrated quarterbacks.
I agree.
Yeah, me too.
What? Yeah, he is a fantastic quarterback. He's had some fantastic teams, but only like 2-3 in his like 20 almost 20 years of playing. So he's never had that great team around him. And this Colts team, I wish they got more offensive weapons. I know that's weird to say because they have T.Y. Hilton. They did pick up that receiver from USC and then Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah.
And then who's the running back that they have?
They have Marlon Mack.
Marlon Mack, yeah. So they do have some good weapons. I kind of wish they picked up another tight end because they did lose not Jack Doyle, but Eric Ebron.
Yeah,
they did lose him.
Burton from the Bears, who has
okay.
Frank.
One of their 7 tight ends that they had.
Yeah.
That the Bears had.
Trey Burton, the man who threw the ball.
Yeah.
In the Philly special when Philadelphia won the Super Bowl. Fantastic moment in all sports. I definitely do see this being the Colts here to kind of step back in there. Maybe this is Phillip Rivers' year to win it all. We'll see. We're not getting too crazy yet. Tennessee getting second. I don't understand all this Ryan Tannehill magic that happened at the end of the season. Because he's like the new Ryan Fitzpatrick, I guess, where he is the worst quarterback at times and the greatest quarterback at times. But you definitely cannot deny that Derrick Henry is one of the best running backs in the league right now. Then I have Houston getting third. You have Deshaun Watson, and that's the only highlight of your team right now.
Yeah.
Until Bill Belichick offers O'Brien his pocket change in a car.
He'll offer
shit he found in the couch.
Yes. Yeah. And then I definitely have the Jaguars finishing it out in last place because Minshew Mania does not exist. They're not going to have a good year. I don't foresee that happening.
All right, Alec. We're going to go to me next. I'll go to Alec, and then I'll go to me.
All right. So my number one is the Tennessee Titans. I think Derrick Henry, in a year where there's no training camp, there's no contact basically until the first game, no one's going to want to hit this guy. Like, no one wanted to hit him in a full season. And for an entire season, no one wanted to tackle him. In a year where no one has any warm-ups, any practice, basically, going in cold, there's nobody who wants to even step in front of this man. And Tannehill, my theory for why Tannehill all of a sudden had a pretty decent year after almost being a bust. I think he was being able to bust until last year, and he's got to thank Mariota for that, for getting the opportunity. But I think that the fact that he wasn't a quarterback for the majority of his career in college, he goes to A&M, plays 1 year as a quarterback after transitioning from a wide receiver. He didn't have his game down yet. I think he had to learn, hey, I can't throw the ball very far. I can't throw it with pinpoint accuracy very far. I should just work on my reads, making my reads and finding the open guy. And I think that's where he improved, is he finally found who he was as a quarterback, which is a decent quarterback. He's not a great quarterback. He's not a shit quarterback. He's right there in the middle. He's in that good middle. And when you have a running back like Derrick Henry, you don't necessarily need to be the best quarterback.
Right.
Also, I like Vrabel as a coach. I think he is a much better coach, or he has the potential to be a much better coach than what Bill O'Brien's already shown.
Right.
So my 2 and 3. So this is the other division that I mentioned that I can see 3 teams coming out of. So I'm flip flopping. I am going to go to the Texans because just like Skip Bayless says about Dak Prescott, whenever Jason Garrett was coaching, Deshaun Watson wins in spite of Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien can make the biggest shit decisions,
right,
and somehow they still win the game. Sometimes, and Deshaun Watson can make the biggest shit decisions, and they still win the game. Because I am constantly in a state of flux watching Deshaun Watson play, because I'm like, throw the ball, and then he makes an insane play like that play against the Buffalo Bills, and I'm like, never mind. I'm glad you held on to it. So I do see the Texans just because they do win, but I do flip-flop between them and the Colts because Frank Reich is a great coach. They have a great defense. I hate Darius Leonard, but I love him at the same time because he's fantastic. And then Marlon Mack is a secret, like he's very quietly a great running back. I think he's one of those guys that just flies right under your radar. You're not really planning for him. You're focused on Brissett. You're focused on T.Y. You're focused on and now you're going to be focused on Jonathan Taylor, but Marlon Mack's going to go out there and get you a good solid 75 yards. And 75 yards and like a couple touchdowns, and you won't even realize it. So I'm a flip-flop between the Texans and the Colts, definitely. And then Jaguars, Gardner Minshew. Like, that's all I got to mention. Gardner Minshew, they traded Jalen Ramsey. I don't know what they're doing.
Right.
Maybe they want Trevor. And then I got to deal with – and then I'm going to have to deal with Trevor, Derrick Henry, and then Phillip Rivers over there. And then we'll definitely be – the Texans will definitely be fourth. But before we go, I'm going to talk about Bill O'Brien for a second.
Okay.
Because
I'll put you on full.
He's one of the worst like coaches in my mind. And I was actually rating him as a decent GM making certain moves. He very quietly made a fantastic offensive line here in Houston. And then he does something stupid, like trading DeAndre Hopkins to the Arizona Cardinals. And when I saw, they got David Johnson, but they traded, I was like, I was upset at first. But then I look, okay, as long as they got a first-round pick, I'll be okay. You trade him for a second-round pick, and then you got rid of that pick. Like, it's mind-boggling. I don't understand what the guy's doing. He thinks he's Belichick, but he's worse. He thinks he's Belichick with these crazy moves. For some reason, Cal McNair gave this guy the keys to the kingdom. He can do whatever he wants. And it's just ridiculous. And I feel sorry for Deshaun Watson because unfortunately he has this next year and then he can be franchised for the next 2 years. I know he wants an extension, but I feel so bad for him. And I almost became a Arizona Cardinals fan. I am gonna be cheering for them, but I almost cut this damn tattoo off my arm because of what Bill O'Brien did. I didn't do it because that seemed painful. I didn't think Bill O'Brien deserved that kind of pain for me. But if we get second place, I will be extremely happy. But I'll still be singing the Fire Bill O'Brien. I'll still be doing the hashtag Fire Bill O'Brien, which is what I think Kareem Jackson was tweeting that all last year.
Yeah,
That's the end
I mean,
of my thing.
that's kind of like with me, since I'm a Bulls fan with Fire Gar Pax. That was kind of like with me and everybody. Now it's Fire Jim Boylan because he's a freaking clown. But this isn't inside the basketball. It's inside the horseshoe.
That's the next show we got coming.
Yeah.
I'll probably bring that back one day. But now I'm gonna talk about who I think is gonna win the division. I got Indy at number 1. And I think the reason why this is not me being biased. If I wasn't a fan of Indy, I would have chose Indy. Phillip Rivers is a big ad. I do like me Jacoby Brissett. Before he got hurt, the Colts were 5-2. Then he got hurt, and then the season was pretty much over from that point. But I do like him. Obviously, a TY out there. I think Jack Doyle is an underrated tight end, even though he made the Pro Bowl last year. Thank you, 49ers and Chiefs, for making the Super Bowl. So Kelsey and Kittle can be in the Super Bowl and not playing the Pro Bowl because Jack Doyle earned it, I thought. Very underrated. I think he's going to shine. I know Trey Burton was hurt last year quite a bit. However, I think because he won't be on the field the majority of the time, he'll come in from time to time. I think that's going to help him. Obviously, the offensive line is, it's either first or second in the NFL. What Quentin Nelson has done and Anthony Costanzo and Ryan Kelly and all them, I mean, it's a great offensive line. It's tough to get to the quarterback, and I think that's going to help Phillip Rivers because, yes, Phillip Rivers had like 20 interceptions last year, but that Chargers offensive line was not good. And he's a guy that if they're down by 7 or if whatever, he's going to do what he can to get the win. So he takes these chances, and it almost reminded me of Andrew Luck his first year or two, where Andrew Luck was throwing it all over because he was trying to, win games, and he threw a lot of picks. But you have them. Marlon Mack is an underrated running back. He can get 1,000 yards every year, which is really all you need because not only that, but now you got Jonathan Taylor, who is a monster. I can't find the photo of Jonathan Taylor, but he looks huge. So you have Marlon Mack doing his thing, and then you bring Jonathan Taylor in. It's going to be really tough, I think, to stop both those guys. And they did really good on the run game. There were games where they were getting 200 yards. So you have that. I think Michael Pittman's going to help a lot. I don't think he's going to be the best receiver in the NFL or anything like that, but he's a big body receiver. Phillip Rivers loves those big body receivers. Mo Alley Cox is a pretty good tight end. There's your third string tight end. He's going to come in from time to time, do good things. And that defense really improved by getting DeForest Buckner. I know Derrick Henry's a monster, and not a lot of people want to tackle him. I think DeForest Buckner can take him down. He was great in the Super Bowl. So I love that addition. Sheldon Day is a quiet addition. I think their cornerbacks improved. They got a really good coach. I think Chris Ballard every year is proving he's one of, if not the best GM in the NFL. I'm so glad we have him instead of Grigson. If we had him from the get-go, Pat McAfee would still be our punter. But life is life. And
not getting slapped by Adam Cole or getting
yelled
at by Adam Cole.
True.
If he wasn't your punter anymore, or if he was still your punter, you wouldn't be able to enjoy his amazing content.
That is true. So
win-win.
There's always there's a good thing with it, even though I do miss him. He better get put in the Hall of Fame, even though he's a punter. He better still get put in because he for the amount of time he played a short amount of time. He was really good. But I love their coaching. The cornerbacks coach they have right now, or it's either that or he's their defensive coordinator, was actually what's his face? Minnesota Vikings, blanking on his name. But he was on the Vikings. I'm looking up real quick. Xavier Rhodes. When Xavier Rhodes had that Pro Bowl season, that was his cornerback coach. Now he's in Indy, so I think that could maybe kind of get him back, maybe not to a Pro Bowl, but get him on the right track again. So I got Indy at number 1. And plus, their schedule, especially those first 7 games until you get to Baltimore, are all win. I think they win all those games because they have the Vikings are going to be a little challenging, but they did lose Diggs. They're probably not going to have Cook, running for them because he said now he might just not play until he gets that contract. I don't have much confidence in Kirk Cousins, even though he did improve last year and he had some good games and some pretty good wins.
That was a nice throw in the playoffs.
Yeah, he had a nice win in the playoffs, but I mean he got slaughtered against the 49ers, but that's beside the point. They play like the Bears, and then really it's like Cleveland, Jacksonville, so on and so forth. So until they get up to the Ravens, it's a pretty easy schedule, and then you have some difficult games, but I think there's enough to where they could win 10 to 12 games. Their schedule is one of the easier.
Yeah, playing Houston those first 7?
No, Houston's towards the end of the year. So
okay,
and I think they're going to win one against Houston and lose one to Houston because that always happens.
Yeah, Ty catches for like 200 yards every time he plays an NRG. It's ridiculous. I hate him. I hate him, but I love him.
Oh yeah, but yeah, I love Ty. I mean, if you talk crap about him, Houston defenders, he's going to dress up as a ghost and then win in the playoffs. So I have them at number 1.
Philip's going to have fun with him.
Oh yeah, I think those two are going to be great together, and I think they have some guys like I love Pascal. I think he's going to put up some good catches. They have a good receiving core, so I have them at number 1. Number 2, I actually have Houston because of Deshaun Watson. I think Deshaun Watson, even without Hopkins, is going to he's going to be Deshaun Watson. They have a good offensive line. The defense is still, it's not bad. It's still good. I think it's good enough to, help, not, lose some games. So I have them at number 2. I actually have Tennessee at number 3 because to me, Tennessee is if you stop Derrick Henry, you beat Tennessee type of team. I don't have any confidence in Ryan Tannehill at all. At all. I'm sorry, Matty G, if you're watching this. Ryan Tannehill, yeah, he had a good last few games. However, the defensive coordinators are going to watch tape. And like I said, there really wasn't a whole lot going on until now. They're going to have their notes. I think Ryan Tannehill is going to get exposed like he was in the AFC Championship a little bit because Kansas City shockingly took Derrick Henry out of the game after a little bit. So I think if you take Derrick Henry out, you're winning that game. And I got to disagree. I think with Derrick Henry, yeah, there isn't much contact coming in the offseason and whatnot, but there's been running backs running backs need that contact. The players need the contact, and I think that's going to actually hurt Derrick Henry for the first few games. I think he'll, get back to what he is, after maybe 3-4 games, but I don't have confidence in Tennessee. I think Tennessee is not like a terrible team, but I think they're going to be a big letdown for a lot of people, and they might win 7 games. I actually got Houston winning 8, maybe 9 games, even without Hopkins. And then I got Jacksonville at 4. I think they're going to be the worst team in the NFL. Gardner Minshew, I don't know why people are so high on this guy. This guy is awful. He had 2 or 3 good games, and then the team started figuring out how to stop him, and he's throwing interceptions. This guy is trash, and they're going to finish last, and they're going to get Trevor Lawrence, and they're going to kick that guy out, and his mustache is going to stay in Jacksonville, but they're going to kick him out. It's done. Gardner Minshew, he's garbage. He's awful. So
finally, someone who hates
I got them 1-15. 1-15. Because Indy always loses in Jacksonville. So Jacksonville will beat Indy either in Indy or in Jacksonville. Probably in Indy because that game's not going to matter at that point because I think that's the last game. That's their one win. Then Trevor Lawrence is going to go in, and then they're going to win 3 games. So that's the AFC.
Yeah.
Now let's go to the NFC. Let's start with the NFC East. We got the Giants, the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Washington football team. So, we're going to start with Alec.
Yes.
How do you think that's going to pan out?
All right, so I got the Eagles at 1. Even though the Eagles and the Cowboys seem to fluctuate back and forth, they've been trading seasons in terms of winning the division. I think this is the year the Eagles win. Rager is a big pickup, someone who won't drop the ball because there are so many drops. I think Carson Wentz was getting a little bit too much hate last year. I don't necessarily love him, but I don't hate him either. He was getting a little too much hate last year for all those drops. Was it Aguilar couldn't catch he just couldn't catch nothing, man. Like, it was ridiculous.
We were over here
but I think
catching
this
everything,
year,
but
yeah,
unlike Aguilar.
that was amazing. I think they're going to win the division. I like Peterson a lot more. Hopefully, he recovers from the virus and is able to come back. But he's definitely a good coach. So I think, and their defense is going to improve a lot more this year too. What was the corner that they picked up? Why am I blanking on it?
Darius Slay.
There you go. That's a big pickup from for the Eagles.
Oh, yeah.
So I definitely see their defense improving and their offense improving too. So I'm definitely going to go with the Eagles at 1. At 2, I will have the Dallas Cowboys, and they will be competing. The Cowboys, for some reason, what they're going to do is they're going to go on a run. They're going to be in the lead. They're going to be winning the division, and then they're going to lose the last 4 games to lose the division, because that's what they do most of the year. Most of the time, they lose the division. I don't know exactly what's going to come from. Why am I breaking on the coach's name? Too many beers. Was the coach that they picked up from? Mike McCarthy. I don't know if he's going to be able to work with this team, because, in my opinion, this team should revolve around Ezekiel Elliott. As we saw in Green Bay, he doesn't like to have a good running back, or he doesn't know what to do with a running back. So taking the ball out of Ezekiel's hands and putting it in Dak's, I'm not super confident, but they did draft CeeDee Lamb to help that offense, to help that wide receiver core. So there's definitely a chance, and I think they were ranked the best receiving core in the NFL. Someone, I think it was Pro Football Focus, ranked them as the best receiving core in the league, which I don't know how you do that with CeeDee Lamb not playing any games. But I do think CeeDee Lamb is a good receiver, a good pickup from them, even though they had so many other problems in so many other areas. I just still don't understand why you draft CD, especially giving the contract that you gave to Amari Cooper. And then I'm going to go ahead and go the Washington football team. It still seems weird. The Washington football team is going to be at 3. I like Ron Rivera a lot. He's going to have so much fun with Chase Young and Montez Sweat on the defense. The problem is they have Dwayne Haskins, who I don't know. I don't think has found himself as a quarterback yet. And they don't have very many offensive weapons either. So I'm going to put them at 3 and New York Giants being 4. I don't believe in Daniel Jones. I believe a lot in Saquon. But Saquon's thing is that he'll have a 95-yard run and then have a bunch of 3-yard runs, 4-yard runs, 5-yard runs. So it's not enough to win the game. But and I don't like the coach that they signed either. I can't even pull his name, because he was a receiver coach over there in New England. The fact that he has a job in Bieniemy is still the offensive coordinator in Kansas City is ridiculous. Bieniemy needs a job. I'm just going to say that every he needs a head coaching job. I'm going to say that every time I'm on here. But yeah, so I'm going to go Eagles, Cowboys, Redskins, sorry. Football team, and then Giants.
Okay. So we're going to go to Jacob next. How do you think it's going to finish out?
Who do you think I think is going to win? No, so the NFC East has not had a team repeat as the division leader in a long time. I definitely see that changing this year. It's not just me being biased. Really, it's not.
We are legit journalists here, guys.
It's 100% going to be between the Eagles and the Cowboys. The Giants and the Washington football team do not have a good enough team to compete. And yes, Carson Wentz gets a lot of hate. I don't understand why, Alec. I love Carson Wentz. Yes, he didn't win the Super Bowl, but he did take that team like 12-2. He scored a touchdown on a torn ACL, was the MVP candidate.
He should have been MVP.
Yeah. And then Magic Nick Foles happened. The only time Bill Belichick has ever been outcoached in a Super Bowl was with Doug Peterson. And Doug Peterson just got COVID-19. You know what he said? I'll just run the team virtually.
Yeah, there you go.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
That's what's up. I love their pick of Darius Slay. I love moving Jalen Mills from cornerback to safety. I wish we picked up some more secondary because we're very weak on that end. But we definitely made some good moves there. I love the pick of Jalen Reagor because I'm a big TCU fan. I am upset we did not pick up Justin Jefferson. I do think Reagor would have been there in the second round when we picked up Hurts. Mm-hmm. Justin Jefferson, he's just a beautiful man. But yeah, Carson Wentz last year almost threw for 5,000 yards. Did not have a single receiver with over 500. It's like the first time that's ever happened. You still have Zach Ertz, Dallas Goedert, the two best tight end duo in the NFL right now. Deshaun Jackson, if he can stay healthy, he's going to be a threat. Alshon Jeffrey, if he can stay healthy, because the only reason the Eagles did not have as good a season as they could have had, or another when they won the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, is because of injuries. Like that almost everyone was out for a while. Also, another big thing, re-signing Jason Peters, their offensive tackle, and then moving him to guard. That's another not talked about move that's going to be an amazing move for them. So I definitely see Philadelphia winning it this year. I do see Dallas getting in second. I kind of think they're going to have a year like last year where they're below 500 and they have a decent year, but not good enough to be wild card, anything like that.
Yeah.
I don't know how well Mike McCarthy is going to do. He didn't coach last year. He's not able to actually be watching these guys this year. They lost some good names on their defense. But when you have Dak Prescott, Amari Cooper, and Ezekiel Elliott, even though they lost some linemen, they still have a good line. They have some good weapons, and I definitely think that they'll be a mid-tier team this year. And then with Washington, New York third, Washington fourth, but it's going to be like this year where they're both towards the bottom of the NFL.
All right. Now we're going to go to Kevin real quick. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I don't have as much to spew about Philadelphia, but I definitely think they'll finish first. I also have Dallas at second. I do think they'll contend for a wild card spot. I think they have a good enough team. And like Jacob said, Washington, New York, bottom of the barrel. It could go either way. I'm going to list it Washington third and the Giants fourth, but that's just me.
Okay. Now, I agree.
Come on.
I got the Eagles first. The reason why I would assume Carson Wentz is going to be healthy this entire season, but you never know. But even if he isn't healthy, they did draft Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is a guy I think that is a natural-born leader. He has a good arm. I think if Wentz is hurt for like a game or whatever, he can step in and he can contribute. Really good tight end, team or right there. I think Darius Slay, I think that's a big add for them. Rager's a big add. And then, like you said, Deshaun Jackson was hurt. You have Alshon Jeffrey. So if those guys can stay healthy and Carson Wentz can stay healthy, Philly's a dangerous team this year. And maybe they make a run. Who knows? And number two, this is tough. Because I'll just go with my gut. I know it's going to surprise some people. I actually have the Giants actually finishing out.
Ooh.
I do like Daniel Jones. I like him a lot. I don't think he's going to be the best quarterback, but he showed signs that he's going to do good. They improved the offensive line because they drafted Andrew Thomas from Georgia, arguably the best offensive tackle in the draft. They did get McKinney in the draft as well, and then they got Pert, third round, another offensive line. So their offensive line has improved. I love Saquon. I love him a lot. I don't think they're going to make the playoffs, but I do think they take that next step. And then their free agents, they signed Corey Coleman. That's, not like a big name receiver, but I think he's going to help a lot. And then obviously I think Leonard Williams is going to be good too. But so I got the Giants finishing at second. I got the Cowboys at third. It's either going to be a tie or they're going to, be behind by a game. I think losing, some of their defensive players is pretty key. I think their defense is highly overrated. There's no way that defense was in the top 5 in the league. There were games that were lost by that defense, it seemed like. I think there's a chance Dak Prescott does not play until he gets a contract. And there's no way he's going to get that contract. I think that's why Andy Dalton was brought in as there's a chance Dak is not going to play because it doesn't look good in public with the negotiations between the Cowboys and Dak. But it might be worse than what we think. So Andy Dalton, I think, was brought in because Jerry Jones probably has in the back of his head, there's a chance that we either might have to get rid of Dak because he wants that, $500 million a year contract, or he might just sit and they want to be prepared. So I think they'll finish third because I don't think the relationship is great, and there's a chance that Dak Prescott doesn't play. I like Ezekiel Elliott, but I don't think he's like top 3. I do think he kind of went down a little bit, but I don't know, maybe he takes, maybe he gets back to what he was. Amari Cooper, we'll see what he can do. He was really good last year, but he wasn't as good as the year before, I don't think. And also Mike McCarthy, new coach, didn't get as much time as what he probably wanted to be with the team. So I do think that hurts. And then I got the Washington football team at number 4 because, it's the Washington football team. What do you expect? So that's what I have it. I'm probably wrong right there with the Cowboys and Giants, but I just have that feeling that it's uglier than what we expect. But there's that. And now we're going to go to the NFC West. This is a division I think that we can all agree could go any way. You got the 49ers, you got the Seahawks, you got the Rams, and you have the Cardinals. So I'm going to start with, I believe, Kevin this time.
I think Jacob. I went first for East.
Yeah, I think Jacob, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to go
There
Jacob.
doesn't have to be a rhyme or reason to this. So.
I was say it doesn't matter to me.
Well, yeah. We'll go with Jacob first, and then we'll go with Kevin. So, how do you think the NFC West is going to finish out?
Yeah. So with the new rule change and allowing the that extra team in the playoffs, we might see one conference have all of their teams in it. And I this year, I definitely could kind of see 3 conferences. The AFC West, already talked about. The NFC West is another one of those. Because all 4 teams are great. The Seattle Seahawks, I definitely see winning it all. Russell Wilson is a beast. He's definitely one of the best game managers playing right now. And then with San Fran, just a couple of their when they lost Raheem Morstead, Marquise Goodwin, just a couple of those smaller losses, not the high end name of the team, but still big names on there, significant names on their team. Did kind of hurt them, so I definitely see Seattle winning it. And plus, they just got Jamal Adams, so they're in the process of getting the Legion of Boom back. We'll see.
Yeah.
Then I think San Francisco will get second. Again, like I said, they did lose couple of people on offense. They lost a receiver, the one they picked up from the Broncos, who went to
Sanders.
Yeah.
Emmanuel
Yeah,
Sanders.
Emmanuel
Yeah, he
Sanders.
went to New Orleans.
Mm-hmm. He went to New Orleans. But still, Jimmy Garoppolo, I think studied behind Tom Brady for too long, because that man is fantastic. And I can definitely see them having another good run. Kyle Shanahan, a great offensive coach, and they do have a great defense. I mean, you look at that line. Of course, first one you think of is Nick Bosa, who tore it up. I don't think they're going to be as good as they were last year, but still pretty good. Probably getting second. Arizona, Kyler Murray definitely had a really surprising year, I think. I did not see him doing as well as he did. And then with picking up DeAndre Hopkins, giving him now those two elite weapons. And I'm trying to remember their coach's name. He coached at Texas Tech, but a big offensive-minded coach. His name's not important.
Yeah.
It's not. You're right.
I definitely could see some good things. And then the Rams, they did lose Gurley, but still, Sean McVay is another mastermind. He did some really decent things with Jared Goff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they do have some really good receivers. Did they lose Brandon Cooks?
Yeah, I think he's in Houston.
He's in Houston.
That's right. Bill O'Brien picked him up. Never mind. That changes my pick on Houston. They're going to do a lot better. Still not yet, though. But
it's not quite.
They still have Robert Woods, Cooper Kupp. They still have some good people on offense. Plus Jalen Ramsey, Aaron Donald on that defense. That defense is going to be top notch again. Yeah. Pretty sure Wade Phillips is still coaching them. So again, I see them getting last in the division, but that's a division that you could easily go 9-7 and be last in the division. It's a really tough division.
Absolutely. So we're gonna hop to Kevin real quick.
Yeah, I have Seattle winning as well. I do have San Francisco in second, but I have the Rams in third. I do think their defense will hold out throughout the season, and their offense is decent enough. Arizona, even though they picked up some people on defense and they do have the offense, to handle it, I don't think it'll be a good enough record, even at like 8-8, to be higher than fourth in this division.
All right. And then we're going to go to Alec.
All right. I'm going to go bottom up because this, like Jacob said, this is the division I can see the entire division coming out into the playoffs. Even though I'm not the biggest believer in the Rams, so I have the Rams at 4. Sean McVay is a great coach. I think I'm not sold on Jared Goff. I wouldn't say they lost Gurley. They gave him away.
Yeah.
Somebody got rid of him.
Well, if you give something away, do you lose it? Yes.
I mean, it's debatable. I think that they were just they felt like they maybe ran him into the ground. I think all his miles are probably gone, so they got rid of him. They are still a good team. They got Aaron Donald right there in the middle, arguably the best defensive lineman in the league. So even though I think I would put Khalil Mack above him, but that's just me. But they still have a great defense. They have a great Jalen Ramsey over there on the corner, so they do have a chance to win. I don't see any of these teams winning less than 9 games in my predictions, which is probably redundant, but it's it is what it is. Next, I have the Arizona Cardinals. I'm trying to look at who they drafted with the pick that they had. So they got Isaiah Simmons on the defensive side, which is huge. I think he was my top-rated defensive player in the draft. Isaiah Simmons. You could put him wherever you want, and he'll be able to get you something. Obviously, I'm a huge fan of DeAndre Hopkins. He literally won an entire season without dropping a pass, which is not easy to do.
Right.
And I'm a believer in Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray is one of those guys that I think has the potential that he showed it last year. I think people were sleeping on him, and he ended up winning. Like, I think people were giving him credit when he tied with Detroit in that first game of the season. Was able to get a tie, and he might be short, he might be all this and that, but they did improve on the defensive side. They were able to get Josh Jones, who I think is a pretty decent tackle in the third round for their offensive line. So Arizona Cardinals are there at third. At 2, this is where I go back and forth too. For one move alone, I'm going to put the Niners, and that's trading DeForest Buckner. If they didn't trade DeForest Buckner, I would put them at 1, because to replace Emmanuel Sanders, they drafted Brandon Ayuk. Oh, sorry, I have something going crazy on here. But yeah, Brandon Ayuk to replace Emmanuel Sanders. The only problem is they didn't replace Marcus Godwin. So they do have one hole in the wide receiver core. But like you, Jacob, I am a believer in Jimmy Garoppolo. He's one throw away from winning that Super Bowl. Yep. He's one overthrown pass to Emmanuel Sanders from winning that Super Bowl. He didn't lose the game. He didn't win the game. He just kind of, he didn't show up when he needed to, and that comes with experience in the playoffs. So number 1, I'll have Russell Wilson in the Seattle Seahawks. I think Russell Wilson is my 1 or 2. Switch out him and Mahomes, quarterback in the league. Russell Wilson just wins. This team went from being a purely defensive team to revolving around Russell Wilson, and he stepped up to the plate every chance that he's had. The pickup of Jamal Adams just helps that, and I think DK is someone to look out for this year. He had a great rookie year, and I can see him having a great sophomore year as well. The only problem is the running back core. He needs a running back, and that's probably my only reason I have him. Seattle and San Francisco flip-flopping. If Seattle had a legit number 1 running back, this team would be unstoppable, even with Pete Carroll's dumb decisions in the playoffs.
So, yeah, like with you guys, I'm kind of flip-flopping on defense, flip-flopping on the 49ers and Seahawks. But at number 1, I'm going to go with the Seahawks. I think that, adding Jamal Adams is going to be really big for them. I love Russell Wilson, top 2 quarterbacks in the league. He's not as good as Mahomes. I think Mahomes is the best, but I do have Russell Wilson at number 2. And then their defense, is always good. I think watching Seattle this year is going to be a lot of fun. And then at number 2, I got the 49ers. And honestly, I almost put them at number 3 because I think some of their losses are going to hurt a lot more than what people expect. Like Alex said, I think the trade they made with Indy getting rid of DeForest Buckner is going to really hurt them. And I think Sheldon Day also leaving is going to hurt them too, because they both had experience in the playoffs every game in the playoffs. I know Sheldon Day didn't start every game, but he started every game in the playoffs and played in the Super Bowl. So that, I think, is going to hurt. Not too much with Sheldon Day, but I think DeForest Buckner is going to be a big loss. And then, like Goodwin, I think that was a big loss and whatnot. Now, I know they replaced Buckner with Kinlaw. They drafted him, but you never know with defensive players. So, I guess we'll see there. At number 3, I'm going to have Arizona. I think Arizona not only adding Hopkins, but adding Isaiah Simmons, who, you could put him at multiple positions and he'll dominate, I think. He's going to help that defense a lot. Their offensive line's improved. Larry Fitzgerald is still there. So I think the receiving core is quite good. I don't think it's among the best, but I do think it's good enough to where they can win enough games to make it to the playoffs. I think they're going to surprise a lot of people this year. I know a lot of people are somewhat high on them, but they might even take a bigger leap than what we're expecting. And then I got the Rams at 4. The Rams could make the playoffs too. I get it. You know, we're not as confident with Jared Goff, but I do think, because it looked like towards the end of the year they started to go with Jared Goff, and the Rams did look better because they were really relying on the run game in the beginning of the year. Didn't help them. Then they let Jared Goff, you know, have more, I guess, options and more opportunities, and Jared Goff did did look better, and they did look better. So I think the Rams are going to be 4th, but it wouldn't surprise me if they win that division because that defense is really good, and I do like the offense too. So there's that. Then we're going to go with the NFC North really quick. I know we're at an hour and 40 minutes, so I want to fly through this really quick so we're not here all night. But we have Green Bay, we have the Vikings, the Bears, and the Lions. So I'm going to start with Alec here.
Mm-hmm.
How do you think that division's going to play out?
So number 1, I'm going to go the Packers. I think they're on the down slope though. I think drafting Jordan Love is gonna damage them more than when they drafted Aaron Rodgers while Brett Favre was still playing, because I think Aaron Rodgers still has more talent than Brett Favre had at this point in his career. And Aaron Rodgers has been known to be one of those guys that's very ego driven. So I think drafting Jordan Love really hurts them. They don't have enough running. They don't have enough receivers. I don't think. I think the defense will improve though, and so will the offensive line. The only problem is, man, I just think he doesn't have enough people to throw to, and that seems to be the problem when it comes to Aaron Rodgers. He just never seems to have enough weapons to get there. But I think he will win the division because the NFC North is kind of weak in the bottom, and you just kind of got to outlast the Minnesota Vikings, who I have a number 2. I don't think Kirk Cousins is the answer, but I also don't think he is the reason you will lose or be the bottom of the division. They still got a really good defense over there, and Gary Kubiak, who I know, being a Houston Texans fan, know is a good coach as well, and he's coaching those guys up. Stephon Diggs is going to be a big loss for them, but Dalvin Cook, if he plays, is one of the top running backs in the league. The problem is, he can't stay healthy, and 2, I think they have that contract dispute that's going on with them. So if he gets on the field, it's a big deal. But if he doesn't, you could see him. I could see the Vikings, and then my 3rd pick, Detroit Lions, probably switching. Matthew Stafford's one of those guys I think is incredibly talented. He doesn't show up when you need him to. He doesn't show up when the lights are the brightest. I think he has all the arm talent in the world, but when it comes to winning close games, it's just not quite there for him. They lose Darius Slay. I like Galladay a lot, but I don't think he's enough to vault this team above and beyond. So I have the Detroit Lions at 3, and the Bears at 4. It's Trubisky and Foles. If Foles, as much as I think he's a great leader in that end of the season. He's a great leader in the playoffs. But when it comes to having to rally a team behind him after that first game, maybe a big loss in the first game, he doesn't have what it takes to pull them out. And this team is the team that is widely known for having, 7 tight ends at one point. Obviously, they got rid of a lot of them. They had an extreme amount of tight ends and no talent anywhere else. So this team is not on the rise. It sucks because you have Khalil Mack, who signed a big time contract to stay there, and I think he's the best. He's probably the best defensive player in my opinion, besides Gilmore, Stephon Gilmore. But it is what it is. And so I have Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears.
Okay, then we're gonna go to Kevin, as he has a lion in the background. How do you think it's going to pan out, Kevin?
Yeah, I think it'll be Minnesota on top. I think this is going to be a big year for them, um, run game wise and their defense. Green Bay in a close second, and those could easily flip. And same with the bottom two. I actually have Chicago and taking third. Um, I know Stafford. I just fact checked that. I thought he had coronavirus, but apparently that was a false negative, so or a false positive. So maybe he'll be better than I think, and Detroit might take third. But as of right now, I have Minnesota, Green Bay, Chicago, Detroit.
Okay. Now we're gonna go to Jacob. How do you see the NFC North finishing out?
So yes, Kevin, you are right. He was not diagnosed with coronavirus. It was a broken back that they just because at this time they were like everything is coronavirus because when that man carries the team,
Man,
that's a big team.
I really do like Stafford a lot.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I mean I've been watching
behind Phillip
Georgia
Rivers. Yeah, behind Phillip Rivers, he's one of the more underrated quarterbacks.
games.
Fantastic talent, fantastic leadership too,
Mhm.
and just the heart to win.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, he's on the Lions.
That's
But I see the Vikings winning the division. That Diggs loss is going to hurt, especially because they didn't really pick up another receiver to take his place. But they still have Thielen. They still have Kyle Rudolph. Dalvin Cook, I'm sure, will play. Just because he wants to prove that he can make the money. There might be like a little holdout, but I definitely still see him playing. And they do have some okay running backs for if he doesn't. So the team's not just on Dalvin Cook. And then they do also have a decent defense. I kind of see Chicago going second. But again, this is going to be Vikings run away with it. And then everyone else 3-4 games back behind. That pickup of Nick Foles, I think is going to be really interesting. I might light a fire under Mitchell Trubisky to say, hey, I have to compete because we've seen him be decent. Not last year, but the year before. He had some great games.
Oh yeah.
They have Allen Robinson. They picked up Jimmy Graham, which might go back to the amazingness he was with New Orleans.
Sure.
Still have Tariq Cohen, so they still have a decent team. And again, they have a fantastic defense led by Khalil Mack. So I kind of see them at second, and then the Packers at third. Yes, that Jordan Love draft definitely sparked some drama in the locker room.
Yeah.
Second pick, they picked up a running back, which made no sense at all. They definitely had a shot to make huge leaps and bounds. Losing Geronimo Allison hurt them. Picking up Devin Funchess was good, but he opted out due to COVID. That definitely hurt them. And then they lost some good players on their defense. They lost a couple linebackers, which really were kind of what made that defense as good as it was. And then last place, the Lions. That Darius Slay loss definitely hurt them, but thank you so much for that. I am not arguing with that at all. They didn't have a ton of good picks. I do like Kerryon Johnson, Kenny Galladay, and DeAndre Swift, all pretty good weapons. So Stafford definitely can do something with that.
Right.
It's just I don't see them doing much.
Right.
Okuda too, man.
That.
Yeah, Okuda was a good pick. That's a replacement for Slay, which I mean you don't know how that's going to pan out, but Okuda is really good, and we'll see what he does. I'm gonna go with the Packers at 1. I think Aaron Rodgers is pissed, and I think he's going to show it, and he's gonna just kill it this year. Losing Funches is gonna suck, but Funches, while it's a weapon for Rodgers to throw it to. He did come off of a season with like a broken collarbone or whatever. So he did come off a pretty significant injury. So I guess you never know how he would have panned out anyway. But I think he's going to come in wanting to prove, hey, I still got it. You didn't need to draft a quarterback right now. You could have waited another year or two and then draft a guy. Because they were one game from going to the Super Bowl. But, they ran to the 49ers. So I think he's going to do that, and then he's probably going to either request a trade or he might just get traded because they want to move on to Jordan Love. At number 2, I got the Vikings. I think losing Diggs is going to hurt, but they still do have some guys that, he can throw to. I do think Justin Jefferson is a pretty good addition for that defense. I think that's going to replace Xavier Rhodes. And the Vikings do have a good defense. It was a lot better a couple of years ago, but it still is a good defense. Number 3, I got the Lions, actually. I think Stafford is going to carry them at least to that 3rd spot. If he can stay healthy, then who knows? Maybe they make a run to the playoffs because they did start out 2-0 and they almost beat Kansas City in their 3rd game. And then Stafford got hurt, I believe, in the 4th game. And, we know what happened after that. But they did look pretty good those first couple games. So we'll see if he can continue that. I do like the Kuda pick and whatnot, but we'll see. And then I got the Bears at number 4. I think Nick Foles is going to potentially light a fire under Trubisky, but I think that makes a difference of instead of throwing it 10 yards over a receiver's head, it's going to be 5 yards over a receiver's head. Defense is still good. It's not as good as it was 2 years ago, but it is good. And I don't know, maybe Trubisky gets back to what he was a couple years ago because, there was that bad field goal that was blocked against the Eagles, but Trubisky drove him down the field to win the game. So he has something in him. We'll just see if he can actually bring it out. And then, so that's my predictions on that. The Packers, Vikings, Lions, and Bears. And let's go to the last division we didn't cover yet. I saved this for last for Kevin, and that is the New Orleans Saints.
He's a big Brady fan, right?
Big Brady fan.
Mm-hmm.
But we got New Orleans.
Sorry.
We got New Orleans. No, you're good. You're good. We have New Orleans, the Falcons, the Bucks, and the Panthers. So I'm going to go to Kevin first. I want to hear your thoughts. How do you think that's going to pan out?
I think I'm gonna be honest and not be a homer. I think New Orleans takes it. I think they're just too good offensively, defensively, special teams. They're just a very well-rounded team right now. Atlanta has some real tools. Dante Feller Jr., A.J. Terrell. I think this is a big year for Tech McKinley. McGarry, Matthews, and McRae anchoring the line, giving Matt Ryan the time he needs. He can be one of the most accurate quarterbacks. And he has Calvin Ridley and Julio. So I have Atlanta finishing second. Tampa Bay, I know they're super talented and huge names and whatnot, but I just don't know how well that's going to gel in 1 year. We'll see, but hopefully I'm right about that. Third, and Carolina last. And I will point out that they do have a tough schedule. Atlanta does. They play Tampa Bay and New Orleans like 5 of the last 7 games or something, and then also playing AFC West, NFC East, and NFC North teams. So no walk in the park this year.
Right. Okay. Then we're going to go to Alec next. How do you think it's going to pan out?
I think I got number 1 Saints. Dude, they've had so many heartbreaks in the playoffs lately, but they always seem to finish first in the division. Drew Brees is still a top talent for sure. even though he's basically the same age as Tom Brady, but doesn't get quite the love that Tom Brady gets.
Right.
But he's broken all the records that he can possibly break. So I do have the Saints there. Teddy Bridgewater is a big loss. So if Breeze does go down, there is going to be a problem. But they'll get there when they get there. At 2, I have the Bucks. Tom Brady is Tom Brady still. He can't quite throw it where he needs to. Like, he can't quite throw it as far as he used to be able to. But I would argue that he was necessary. He was never really the greatest deep ball thrower. He's one of those guys. He's a 3-step guy. You take 3 steps back, find the open guy, and you hit him. And when you have guys like Godwin, like Mike Evans, Gronkowski, and Ingram, like that's big time. Is it Ingram or is it Howard?
Howard.
It's Howard. Thank you. Sorry. Howard, that's big time. And I can't remember the name of their running back, but they have a really decent running back. Drafting Tristan Wirfs, which is highly regarded as the top lineman. We'll see coming into this year, but a lot of people had Wirfs on their list of the top linemen. So someone to protect Brady, and I think Brady brings a certain leadership quality where you're like, you don't want to make Brady mad. Brady is just as psycho as Belichick was, yelling at offensive linemen, yelling at receivers for not being in certain areas whenever he threw the ball. So Tom Brady, until he shows me otherwise, I'm gonna say Tom Brady and the Bucks. At 3, I'm gonna have the Atlanta Falcons. I think they're still a good team. Matt Ryan is still, he's still Matty Ice until he shows me otherwise. I was there for that Super Bowl game, brother. I'm sorry.
Oh,
I was working it.
That hurt.
And Matt was great. I put most of the blame on Mike Shanahan for that one.
Oh yeah, for sure.
But the loss of Sanu, I don't have the draft selections in front of me. I don't have the additions and subtractions in front of me, but Matty Ice is still good. Julio Jones is probably the best receiver. I would say DeAndre, but then Julio Jones number 2, very close number 2. So then there, and then Carolina Panthers. Matt Rule coming in, starting off with his rookie year, and Teddy Bridgewater as his quarterback. I like Teddy a lot, and I think they have a great chance. They have a chance to win a decent amount of games, but I got to see what Matt Rule can do, and also that receiving core isn't great. So Saints, Bucks, Panthers, Falcons and Panthers.
Okay. Then we'll go to Jacob real quick, and then I'll give my picks after Jacob.
Okay. So we all know the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just had one of the craziest free agent signings ever by signing Tom Brady.
I didn't say Mike Evans.
No, they didn't just sign Mike Evans, silly Billy. Now, had you have asked me right after they signed him, Jacob, would this team be the number 1 seed in the NFC? Would this team be anywhere close to that? I would say, heck no, because Tom Brady cannot throw it deep, and that's their only offensive weapons. Mike Evans, Goddard are deep threats. But then they go out and pick up Gronkowski. And I'm like, he's gonna win it all on a different team this year. But no, I actually do not see them winning the NFC South. I do see the Saints still winning it, but I definitely see the Buccaneers getting a close second. The NFC South is my last division or my last conference where I think all 4 teams could be playoff teams.
Yeah.
I definitely see the Saints winning the division. They've had a stacked team. Defense, they picked up Malcolm Jenkins. It still hurts to lose him, but it's okay. We'll get over it, Jacob. Their offense, they picked up Emmanuel Sanders. Didn't lose anybody. I definitely see this hopefully being the year that Breeze finally wins an MVP and then wins Super Bowl number 2, but we'll talk about that later. I do see Tampa Bay getting second. This offense literally was one of the best offenses in the league last year, and their quarterback threw more interceptions than touchdowns. Could not see, like, I'm not making this stuff up. He threw for over 30 interceptions. He just couldn't throw it to his guys, and yet he was still able to throw like 3,000 yards. It's crazy. They get rid of him, get one of the best quarterbacks ever. Definitely an upgrade. Yeah, he's not going to be able to throw it deep down, but still, Gronkowski, you can throw it up and he can just grab it, even if it's 20 yards away. The man's a beast. I do see Carolina going third. Matt Rule, not a huge fan of watching him at Baylor, but they did pick up Teddy Bridgewater. They did sign Robbie Anderson. So there were some good signings. Plus, you do have Christian McCaffrey, who will carry that team anywhere. And then the Falcons. This is one of those where I could see any team making it to the playoffs. And Kevin, I love you and all, but this is the team that I'm like, I could see them going 8-8, but that's really kind of a stretch. But
tough schedule.
Yeah, they do have a tough schedule. Matty Ice is sometimes elite, sometimes not.
Oh, yeah.
But that Gurley pickup, I don't know how much he has left. That could have been an amazing pick. We don't know. We'll have to see how he does. But you gotta love Hulu. You gotta love Calvin. So they definitely have the weapons to make it. They do have a pretty good defense too. But I see them getting last in the division, but still have a decent record.
Alrighty, and then I agree with everybody. I have the Saints winning the division. Saints always are, either first or second in the NFC. Sometimes third, but more than that, it's first or second. I would love if the Saints finish last because I hate that fan base because of 2 years ago with that Rams game. I hate the fan base, just how they reacted forever. It's like, look, I get it. It's a bad call, terrible call. But you have an off season to kind of brush that off and be like, okay, let's move on. And I hate Michael Thomas. He's a crybaby.
I think he's overrated.
Not like him a lot. I mean, he's super talented, but he's a crybaby, and I really hope the Saints lose every game. But that's not going to happen because Drew Brees is top 5, top 3 quarterbacks of all time. You can make an argument that he's in the top 3 because he has the numbers to prove it. And he has the Super Bowl. So that's obviously a good thing. At number 2, I struggled with, but I'm actually going to go Carolina. I think adding Teddy Bridgewater is really big for them. I love Teddy Bridgewater. Look what he did in New Orleans. Yeah, you could say, it was, the Saints, system. He fit in it, and he did what he did to go 5-0. But he also did really good in Minnesota before he got hurt. So I do love that pickup. Robbie Anderson is going to help a lot. McCaffrey, that offense is really good, and they don't have a bad defense either. It's not great, but they don't have a bad defense, I don't think. So I got them at number 2. And Matt Rule, we'll see. Not a lot of coaches from college do great. I mean, look at Nick Saban. He went to the NFL, didn't do great, went back to college, and is back to being one of the greatest coaches ever coaching college football. At number 3, I got Tampa Bay, close to Carolina. I think Brady is going to not have a bad year, but that offense that they run in Tampa Bay is extremely difficult to learn. I mean, it usually takes 2 years for you to get it under your belt. And who knows, maybe if they would have stuck with Winston, because he is getting eye surgery. So now he can see different jersey colors. So that's good for him. Maybe they would have done better. Maybe they would have. But now he's in New Orleans too. So like I do love Winston. Like, I think he has potential to be, one of the better leaders in the league for sure. He can definitely get you hyped up.
Hyped,
But,
yeah.
now
Oh,
he's
yeah,
in New
absolutely.
Orleans, so I think he's going to do well there and surprise a lot of people. But Gronk, adding Gronk is, it looked like a nice pickup, but Gronk has been out for, a season or two? I think just 1 year. Didn't look great his last season. Looked like he was the corpse of Rob Gronkowski in his last season. Maybe that year off helps him, but I don't think it's going to be as big of a get for the Buccaneers as some people think, because he has been out for a year. It's going to take him some time to get back into it, I think. I'm surprised he didn't try to be an actor like he wanted to, but that's here or there. They do have really good receivers, but the way Brady plays and the way Bruce Arians coaches is not the same. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe Brady will just throw like 90-yard passes and it'd be perfect. And he's also 43. So I honestly think age is going to start to come in because he can't play forever. And then I got Atlanta at number 4, but I love Matty Ice. I do like the signing of Todd Gurley.
Yeah.
So Atlanta could finish 3rd or 2nd even. You just never know. Julio Jones is obviously one of the best receivers in the NFL, maybe even the best. You can make an argument for him. So, that's going to be an interesting division, though, I think. Will Brady get back to what he was? Will Drew Brees continue to play like he is? Because he's old, too. And he talked about there was possibilities that he was going to retire. Then he came back and signed for a cool $25 million, but this will be his last year because he has that NBC contract, and I think he's going to go do the NBC stuff for Notre Dame and Sunday Night Football. So,
before we leave, this is exactly what I would do if we were in the sports debate. Jacob, you said that Jameis threw for over 3,000 yards. He actually threw for 5,000 yards, so he's one of 8 QBs throw for 5,000 yards. Granted, a lot of it's actually like more seasons with 5,000 yards, but Drew Brees has 4 5,000 yard seasons or 5,000 yard seasons. But
so, I didn't remember the exact number, but he threw insane for like 30 touchdowns and 34 interceptions. It's
33 touchdowns and 30 interceptions. So he almost matched touchdowns for interceptions.
Close, but
it's bad.
That's still bad.
5,000 yards. 30 interceptions.
That many interceptions.
Yeah.
Imagine what he would have done if he threw less.
Yeah.
He probably would have been the MVP if he throws less interceptions. But for sure. And also, I forgot to mention, and I hate that I forgot to mention him. One, I forgot to mention Christian McCaffrey. I should have did it because he's my number 1 running back in the league. And 2, none of us mentioned Alvin Kamara.
Sure.
He's a big time running back over there in New Orleans, and takes a lot of the pressure off of Drew Brees. Because Drew Brees, he had Pierre Thomas, Reggie Bush, but he never had a guy of the talent of Alvin Kamara. So that's a big time weight off his shoulders.
Right. So so that's all the divisions. I guess if you guys want, you can list off one team that you think is going to maybe surprise some people this season. So I'll kind of go from top to bottom. We'll start with Kevin. What's a team that you can think of that might surprise a lot of people this year?
I think the Raiders will surprise people. I don't think they're expected to do that well, but with the coaching that they have and the tools that they have, the time that they've had to put it all together, I really think that they can make an impact in the division they're in.
Yeah, I agree. They're definitely a sleeper team for me too. But now let's go to Alec. Who do you think could surprise a lot of people this year?
I have the Arizona Cardinals. I think Kyler Murray has the talent to take it one step above where he was last year. He's got a great offensive weapon in DeAndre Hopkins. He's basically a safety net. If you can't find anybody open, just throw DeAndre. He'll bring it down. And that defense is underrated, I think. not enough people are talking about it. Isaiah Simmons is probably going to be my sleeper for
Sure.
Defensive Player of the Year. So I'm going to say the Arizona Cardinals, and with the way that division is, could possibly win it. So
Yep, that is true. Now go to Jacob. Who's a team you think that could surprise some people?
Denver Broncos. Drew Lock had an amazing last couple games, and then they picked up Jerry Jeudy, KJ Hamler, Melvin Gordon. They definitely are getting the offense to where it needs to be for him to thrive. So I could definitely see them being the surprise team.
Definitely. And then for me, I was struggling throughout the show between three teams. I thought about going with the Colts. However, I think there are people that are starting to, kind of be like, okay, they're probably going to win the division, or they're at least going to make the playoffs. At the beginning, when they signed Rivers, I saw a lot of people saying, oh, they're going to miss the playoffs. Rivers sucks. But now I think after all the signings, after the draft and everything, and after, I think some people are realizing Rivers didn't have a lot to work with in Los Angeles with their offensive line and whatnot. Last year, I think people are starting to, be like, okay, cool. And then Carolina was another team I was thinking about because of the Teddy Bridgewater ad and Robbie Anderson. But I'm actually going to go with Detroit as they could surprise some people because you have Matt Stafford there. I do think the team slightly improved. And before Stafford got hurt, they did look good. So I think if you keep Stafford healthy, he's got weapons to throw to. I do like the Okuda draft. They drafted the defensive lineman from Notre Dame in the third round. Akua, it's like it's a weird last name to pronounce, but he was really good there too. So if they both have real good years, I think not a Super Bowl, but I think they might surprise some people and maybe snag that last wild card spot because I think a lot of people are assuming they're going to finish towards the bottom.
The guy you had was Julian Okwara.
Yes. So
defensive end.
Yeah. So those are our picks for teams that we think could really surprise people this year. So I think that's going to do it. It is almost 1 a.m. my time, so that is going to do it. So we're going to go around. We're going to start with Kevin. Kevin, where can the people find you at?
You can find me online, Facebook, Kevin Poss. You can find me on Letterboxd under the same name. Check out what I'm watching. I am the commissioner of TM Geek on TMG Trivia, so we would love to have you join. We have a run for the championship of a vacant title. First two people to 3 wins are going to get to fight it out for the inaugural TM Geek Championship. So join us.
Absolutely. Next, we're going to go to Alec. Alec, where can the people find you?
Hey, you can find me on Twitter at Alec Miller 0423. I usually talk MMA, wrestling, and football, especially and movies also, but mostly football and MMA. And then you can find me tomorrow, the A&S podcast on YouTube. We do it every week. We talk MMA, we talk wrestling, but majority of it is MMA. And tomorrow night at 9 o'clock, we're going to be talking about the Dana White Contender Series that just passed this week, that just happened this Tuesday. For MMA fans or not MMA fans, if you want to see young, hungry fighters that are trying to just make it in the world of MMA, this is the show to watch because you get great stories, you get a great background on the fighters, and you get really great fights of 2 guys or 2 women that are trying to just get a contract from Dana White. So definitely check us out tomorrow doing that. And we'll do it every week. We fluctuate days, but majority of it's either Tuesday or it's Thursday.
Absolutely. I'm hoping that the monkey god himself, Jared Brooks, gets an opportunity to really improve because I went to high school with him. Fun fact.
Nice.
So, yeah, he was a state champion wrestler and all that. So that was fun. So now we're going to go to Jacob. Where can the people find you at?
Did he also beat you up a lot, Matt? Is that how you really know him?
No.
You can find me all over the place. Facebook, Jacob E. West. Yes, that E is very important because I know a couple of Jacob Wests. I only know one Jacob E. West, and I trust him a lot more than any of those crazy Jacob Wests out running all over the place. But then you can also find me all over TMG, both TMG Entertainment and TMG Trivia. On the trivia end, I commission the Teams League. So if you like answering questions about movies and you have someone that you kind of like, or fills your gaps or whatever, you want to team up with them, hit me up. I'll get you on the roster. We're also on the road to the title, but we're not on a vacant title. We have a team holding it that we want someone to take on because they're sitting and they need someone to take them on. Also, all over TMG Entertainment. If trivia is not your thing, you like yelling at people, I run late TV fights, but I partake in all the other leagues, help out, and I'm the champion of Sports Brawl and Game Zone.
There you go.
And yes, Amaru, I am still the Sports Brawl champion. I don't care what you say.
Oh,
Oh boy.
And you can find me here on this channel doing all kinds of stuff. And I guess I can officially say this for the first time publicly. I am the Movie Battleground Commissioner. So if you need a match or want to compete, let me know, whether commenting on a post saying, put me in a match, damn it, or just, messaging me on Facebook. I may not see it for a little bit because it won't go straight to my actual messenger thing unless I have you as a friend, which I may or may not. But if you want a match, let me know. I'll get you a match. We have some really exciting stuff going on there. And we also have some really exciting stuff on TMG as well coming up that I hope we can maybe make an announcement soon. So, yeah, without further ado, that is the end.
One more.
Yeah.
Sorry. I'm also the co-commissioner of Nerd Fights on TMG Entertainment. So if you want a debate in geek culture, in Middle-earth, Harry Potter, comic books, Star Wars, Star Trek, and all that good stuff, definitely hit me up. And Alan Shepard as well.
All righty. But yeah, that's going to do it. Thank you all for tuning in. And hopefully this next episode won't be quite as long. Catch you guys later.
Go Falcons.